All right, you guys, what's up? Welcome back. I'm assuming you came here after watching my video talking about how much I made in the month of March with YouTube and content creation online. That's where I recommend you start. And this is kind of like part 2 to that. So I'm gonna talk about my spending, where my money went this month. I honestly always like to know how people spend their money. It's a little bit maybe our voyeuristic culture. But in general, I think it's also useful information to know maybe if I'm spending too much or the cost of living where I am in my part of the world. I don't know, I think it's very interesting. So again, I have nothing to hide. I just wanted to share how my first month here in Mexico City went. I just want to start here. I have a folder on my Google Drive. And I talked about this in my digital minimalism series, how I organize things. Basically, I have a money folder and then a spending folder within that. And within this spending folder, I guess maybe spending is not the perfect name for it, but I track how much I'm making and how much I'm spending. So the way I split it up is I have earnings and expenses kind of on the business side of things, how much I'm making and production costs. That's this spreadsheet right here. Then I have my spending, where all of my money is going. And then right in the middle is my Mexico budget, where I kind of put the two together to see how things are going, how much I'm making and how much I'm spending and how much is left over. So we're just gonna open up my spending spreadsheet. And the way I organize it is into a few categories here at the top. So I guess I'll just kind of go through the different categories here. To start, I have $480 allocated to rent and WeWork each month, okay? Currently, I'm not spending any money on WeWork just yet because I don't feel like I'm making enough to justify that. That would be an additional $230 a month, I think, and I'm just really not quite there yet. So I spend a lot of my time right here, working in my little office in my room. And when things get just a little bit too much sometimes, I'll go to a coffee shop. But generally speaking, I save a lot of money doing this. This should be updated, 0401. So I'll mark down basically the amount of money that I have allocated in a given category. And then underneath that, I'll put down how much money I'm spending in that category. So $480 allocated, and I spent $480 on rent. So if I scroll down here, you'll see that total remaining is zero. It zeroes out. My next category is bills. So basically where I live, I have a couple of roommates and we all pitch in 300 pesos, which is about $15 for general apartment needs like soap, toilet paper, stuff like that. And then I spend a little over $10 a month for my phone usage. It's very, very cheap here in Mexico. And that'll last, it's basically every 35 days, I spend a little bit of money to recharge my balance. And I get 3 gigs during those 35 days of phone service. So it's a really, really good deal. Moving right along, food and drink is a category that I allocated $250 towards. This was just kind of a blind guess. I just moved here, so I don't know exactly how much it's going to cost. And on top of it, this month, I'm halfway through my vegan 30-day challenge. And that really affected things too. I ended up spending a lot more money than I was expecting. Not necessarily because veganism costs more money, but because when you make a big diet change like that, there's gonna be kind of an adaptation period, right? So I was experimenting and spending a lot of money on fruits and vegetables, and I think that's really not a bad use of money in general, especially in the short term. So I'm okay with it. But basically, I marked down all of my expenses as well as the date, and I did pass my budget limit on this particular category and spent almost $300. That's a lot of money on food, okay? I do not expect to spend that much money longer term. I have basically my pantry and my fridge are stocked up right now with stuff, so I don't expect to spend any money for the next few days on food, but I think that's one category that will definitely go down in the near future. I think it's not unreasonable to live on 200 or 225 bucks a month on food. But this is like an area that I think I get a lot of enjoyment and pleasure in my life. Food is very important to me, so I'm okay with spending a little bit more money in that category. Okay, next is transportation. I gave myself $50 for transport, and honestly, this is also another category that can go down. But either way, I only spent $40. As for fun, that's kind of a category that I reserve for if I'm gonna go hang out with friends or maybe a little bit of travel or whatever. I put $50 towards that this month and only spent 47. And then living and buffer, that's another one where I passed my budget just a little bit. because I wasn't expecting to have to buy furniture. I bought this desk, I bought this chair, I bought the prints that are in my room and fill it up with something to give it a little bit of life. So I spent a little bit more in that category than I was expecting, but again, I think that's a number that will go down moving forward because now I have these things. In general, I don't spend money on stuff that doesn't feel like it serves any particular purpose. I have very little clothing because I don't need much. You know, basically the mentality of minimalism, right? Only having what I need. So some money went towards toiletries, some money went towards, like I said, the desk. And then finally, health insurance. That category is a 0 this month because I basically bought a package a few months ago that's going to last for the next few months. So I'm not counting it as an expense this month, but it is something that will come back up in the future. So in total, I gave myself $1,005 to spend here in Mexico City, and I went over by $79, which obviously is not, you don't want to always live like that, but I think that there's something to be said for the fact that this was my first month here. These were kind of guesses. I've kind of adjusted and adapted, and I also think that with time, you know, you learn to live like a local. You learn to spend a little bit less money and find the better deals and, you know, reduce costs. Having spent almost $1,100, I'm still not breaking even with content creation online. Okay, so basically the deficit here is $547, which obviously long-term is not sustainable. But again, I think that when you take on a project like this or taking a leap of faith like this is something to be expected, at least in the short term. Fortunately, I lived beneath my means for a long time, saved up a lot of money, and I can afford to take risks like this. So I'm not freaking out just yet. Progress is being made. I think I'm gonna be able to reduce my costs and potentially make more money moving forward. And so hopefully that will reverse. I also wanna mention that it's totally possible to be spending less money than what I am right now, okay? I fully expect my expenses to go below $1,000 each month. But even then, I'm allowing myself to have kind of a comfortable lifestyle here in Mexico City. I'm definitely spending more than the average cost of rent here because I found this particular part of town that I really, really like. There's a lot of parks, there's a lot of artists, and for me, that is absolutely worth spending a little bit more money on. I think there's a balance between cutting costs and also quality of living. And you know, I want to enjoy my time here in Mexico within reason. So yeah, that's kind of where things are at. But overall, I think I did decently for my first month here in Mexico City. So anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that it was interesting at the very least. I'm open to doing this basically every month, creating a series out of this if you guys really like it. I read all the comments, so just let me know. Thank you so much for supporting this project. It really means a lot, and a lot more is to come very, very soon. So stay tuned.